Welcome to MYBcast, a podcast series devoted to exploring alternatives for self-care through somatic touch therapies of all sorts. We are fascinated with the mind-body connection, and so are the people we talk with. Today, we are continuing our series, Portraits of the Pioneers. Portraits offers an in-depth look at those who have been actively involved in the exploration, development, and practice of somatic touch therapy since its early inception. I'm Anna Marie Bowers, and I'm here with my co-host, Richard Mack. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Anna Marie. Nice to see you again.
Thanks. Today, we are excited to talk with our guest, Jack Lisken. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
And let's wrap up our, well, not wrap up, but let's begin the third session. Just kind of talking a little bit about words of wisdom you might have for us around case report writing, research, designing protocols, those kinds of broad categories.
Yeah, well, I think having done a research study, which I had never done before myself, and so it was very different and new for me. You have that paper. It can be a template for either that kind of study or any kind of related study. So I'm proud of that as having that, even if it was in a journal for alternative medicine and not a standard medical journal. At least it's there. It was in print. It's available. It can be a template for other research, or at least stimulate ideas for other research. A full-blown research study requires some wherewithal, some money has to be involved, institutional approval if it's in an institution. So all those things have to be woven through, but at least it's doable. It was done once, so it can be done again. And so I like having that as something of a legacy, and I would be happy to see more formal research done, because that's what carries weight in the medical community. And so I think in terms of doing casework, I think that's a great idea. You've got practitioners who are practicing, they're working with people, and I would suggest that if people are beginning to write up casework to develop documentation for what they're doing, that it be somewhat standardized. And even though it doesn't have to be completely in medical jargon, having a standard format, one, makes it easy for people to document, because they're not just having to do it all on their own. And it also allows for comparisons to be made, and also allows for ideas to be generated about how to proceed from there, whether it's for research projects, what's a potential area of research, what themes keep coming up, what kinds of problems people are having that might be suitable to delve into further. So I think having some kind of a standardized format, this is the way the person was before, when they came in, these are the changes that happened as a result of the work that was being done, and how you in some way measure those changes. So measurement, if there's any way to add measurement to the process, I think that's what gives a lot of validity to any kind of documentation of somatic work.
And these measurements don't have to necessarily be physical. You measure movement as this many more centimeters than the last time. They can be like questionnaires and things that are vetted already, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for certain, there are elements of quality of life. There are many standard questionnaires already being used in medicine that relate to quality of life, and those can be found and used, and those can document changes over time as well.
Mhm.
a lot of those are self-reporting by the client as well. Am I correct?
That's right. But
Yeah,
there are validated questionnaires about quality of life that you can find in the literature. So it's not, I mean, that work, a lot of that work has already been done. You can use a
right.
standardized questionnaire.
Good, good. That makes sense. That makes sense. And just so you know, they do have now in a lot of the medical schools, alternative therapy departments in medical schools. So I was just privileged to be able to work with some medical students who were taking this alternative therapy track and wanted to study different somatic work, such as Traeger. So it's kind of an exciting thing that happened in the last 20 years. I'm hoping it continues, but just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and yeah, well, that's great to hear. Another thing that comes to mind, as in this research project, if people are taking medications for pain, or muscle relaxants, or things like that. That's something that also can be documented pretty easily. What people are taking at the beginning of the work and what they're taking afterwards or during, or and noticing if there's any changes in the amount of medicine that are needed for people to, that they're using on a regular basis. So that's something that's pretty easy to document as well.
That's a really good idea too. I was struck by, to go back to the beginning when you talked about your research, the one protocol about attention from the physician. What did that actually mean?
Well, um, there's a well documented placebo effect in medicine, and
Yes,
sometimes people just paying attention to what your problem is and listening and being in their presence can have a beneficial effect. So that was the attention group where at least people got heard.
that's really interesting. Was there a specific measurement for that? Like they had to listen for 5 minutes or something, or
I'd have to go back. I've actually forgotten that part of the study.
okay, okay.
But I have to look at the paper and read it over carefully. You have that paper, I take it.
Yes, yes, I do have it. I do have it. I didn't get a chance to read it before this morning, but I just was struck by that attention and how it relates to presence and how it relates to the Traeger as one of the somatic touch therapies that really is about presence for
Yeah,
the person on the table. Um and yes, placebo or not, it's an interesting topic to think about,
yeah. Attention. Jack Blackbird calls it what, presencing.
presencing, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So that is an interesting aspect of it. I don't think that part was my idea, but it was in there. Yeah, I'll have to look at that paper. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Yeah.
Is that paper on the foundation website?
Yes, I do believe it is. And I am in the process of updating all of the articles that we have and all the papers and research that we have on the foundation website. So by the first part of June, all of that will be updated. So if it's not currently, it will be shortly, but I believe it is out there.
That's great. That's great. Um, and just getting back to getting people to participate in the process of sharing. Um, just a brief story about my thing. I'm not a writer, although I'm becoming a writer, going to Anna Marie's writing class and being encouraged a lot by Jack Blackburn, who got me into the habit of taking soap notes at the end of each session, which makes a lot of sense, especially when you're trying to track something in a clinical practice and not a spa environment, but you're clinically trying to do something. I use the video camera. When I start up my work with CP athletes, I just started a session with a simple exercise, balance, strength, just simple yoga poses, just simply filming them, same frame, holding it so that you can see before and after. And that actually launched the whole process of my actually talking about this somatic work inside of treating CP. Um, it wasn't written, it was all videoed, but it was my way. And you could see it. You could see balance, you could see strength, you could see muscle tone increasing. It's a matter of just recording it. However you feel comfortable about doing it, just start recording it. And the other thing I like to bring in is it's great to have a community of people that are working towards something that's similar so they can start sharing ideas around this. Um, Scoliosis is another big one that's coming up. I know a lot of people that are working around the idea of simply relaxing the muscles in the torso allows the client to start strengthening themselves into a proper posture. And the idea of sharing that information and findings creates a community of people that are working in a different way and starting to create a new procedure in dealing with certain things that the medicine world doesn't really have any clue for, or not a clue. They don't have a procedure for.
Yeah,
Protocol, right?
yeah, with a community of people who of like interest, then you can each stimulates the other and new things come out of that. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. And I agree that, you're certainly using video or to document changes is one one way to go that you see it with your own eyes, and you can also potentially uh, add some kind of form of measurement into that as well.
Yeah, Milton did that a lot with some of his work with Parkinson's. I believe he
That's
used
right.
video a lot with the before and after with his work with Parkinson's as well.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
Is there anything, Jack, anything we haven't asked you about that you'd like to expound upon?
Not really. You've kind of drained my brain, and so yeah,
Is that a good thing?
yeah, it's all right. But I'm I got me thinking about things that I haven't thought about for a while, and yeah, so I appreciated the questions.
Great. Well, if any of our watchers or listeners are interested in contacting you, is there contact information you would like to share?
Probably email would be the best way to go, and it's you can tell how old I am because I still have Hotmail, and but it's just jlisken@hotmail.com.
Mm, mm. And then the last question I'd like to ask, Jack, it's not even a question. It's just, you've been doing this from the inception, and you've bringing this work probably the furthest than anybody else has in the medical community. Words of encouragement to practitioners. We all seem to be working in our own little silos, but it's nice to kind of step back and experience what you've accomplished in your life with this work. And you're truly a pioneer in bringing this thing into new medicine. What words of encouragement would you share with our audience?
Well, I think it's be brave. If you have to be a little bit audacious to develop something new in a setting that hasn't seen it before. So if people are in medical settings or medical related settings, I encourage them to think, well, how might this be developed further? What areas can I step into that I have available to me? So it's basically a question of, what opportunities are there that you might not otherwise think of opportunities, but that might be sitting right there where you are already doing your work, and uh, bringing what you have to a new place. Take that audacious step, be bold, and try something new. And if you've developed, if someone is someplace where they've developed credibility, then that gives them the entree to take on something that might otherwise never have been done or never have been thought of, and to at least say, okay, let's see if I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing that I'm hearing from you in these episodes that you've been so gracious to share, the idea of not being afraid to be engaged in the medical community. Um, we do a lot of work with licensed massage therapists in helping them with the approach of somatics. Somatic mindfulness is what we're calling it. And the idea of being able to incorporate not necessarily, Swedish massage or lymph drainage. There's a whole connection of the mind body and the ability to kind of connect that together. But when you become more attuned as a practitioner to that work, there is a funnel of patients waiting for you by doctors that they don't know what to do with these people. And they can write a script, but at the end of the day they're not really helping them. But if you can get yourself more involved in the community, and again, it really comes down to writing about what you're doing so that somebody out there is going to see it and they're going to incorporate it. I know practitioners that have gotten very nice let's look at Dean Yuhan teaching at Esalen. I mean, or working at Esalen. I mean, he literally brought somatics into Esalen over the 17, 19 years that he was there. You don't know where you're going to find yourself, but the idea of putting yourself out there and sharing what you're experiencing, that's how the ball starts to roll down the hill, and momentum is needed.
Yeah, and uh, doctors need work on them too. That's the way
They
to
do.
introduce it. That's the way to introduce it. And yeah, so yeah, I encourage people to get involved with the medical community. There might not be automatic acceptance, but it's worth a try. And there are people who are open to it. I mean, look at the development of massage as an okay thing to do over the last 25 or 30 years. It's become acceptable. And so there's always that possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, massage is a great one because quite frankly, they're the only people that are spending any time touching. I mean, doctors aren't touching, PTs aren't even touching anymore. I mean, they're just giving you a bunch of exercises and that's what you're walking away with. But the body needs that touch, that physical touch of communication, allowing that soft tissue to receive that information to process in a somatic way. We're very special in what we're doing. And I think, thank you for opening the door.
Yeah. There was, I remember, in the training as a physician assistant in the medical environment, uh, someone said, and I wish I remembered who, that no doctor was ever sued if they touched the place where the patient hurt.
Yeah.
Of course. What a beautiful sentiment.
And I would add the word lovingly touch. A lovingly touch. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I think Milton said this. I know we use that in our classes, but we approach the client with curiosity.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We tap
Yeah.
into our intuition
Yeah.
and we bring our hearts into what we're doing.
Yeah.
That is the chemistry of healing.
I have to tell you, there were periods in my life where I've written poetry, some of which has got published, but one poem that never got published, but which I've always liked myself. It's a 3-line poem. It's called Healing Manual. And here it is. Begin bigger than both of us. Open the valve. Get out of the way.
Ah, thank
Perfect.
you, Jack. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Perfect. Jack Lisken, you're a prince of men. Thank you very much for taking the time. No, I'm serious. This is really important, and I'm happy that you agreed to come on and share your story because um, it's an important story, and it is it's a foundational a cornerstone for this work. So thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time and sharing that.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Good. And thank you so much for all of the work you did back in the 80s and just simply looking around and saying, what can I do where I am right now
Right.
is inspirational, Jack. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to see you both.
Thank you. So I'm going to simply close this out by inviting our viewers to check out our podcasts on wherever you obtain your podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Portraits of the Pioneers has a number of episodes of people like Jack that have been involved in this work from the very beginning. And they're bridging this knowledge and wisdom into the new world, into the new generation, because this is the new medicine. And we hope to see you soon. Join us again, and thank you for being here. Be well.